Yeah, hard to mulligan turn 2 Flagstone's Wildfire. Good draw. Turn 3 Cryptic Command. Wait, is this the same opponent as last time? I think it might be. Hand is better though. Yeah, I think the mill decks are solid, but I don't think that they're going to be like a tier 1 deck forever, especially because just like one sideboard Gaia's Blessing or, you know, a sideboard damn it, I should have waited a second for requeuing. Um all you have to do is sideboard one copy of Gaia's Blessing or an Eldrazi, and all of a sudden your mill matchup is good. And even you don't even have to do that if enough other people are doing it is another thing. Not that they can't beat it, but it just the presence of one, you know, is very powerful, I think. Well, we are out here really learning the Twiddle Storm matchup. Could you bounce land in response there? Oh shit. Yeah, that would have been a good play. Wasn't on my radar. Guess we're not learning the matchup. Yeah, we just counter the next thing though, and then they have to discard 6 cards that go down to 2. Yeah, I'm just gonna counter this and hope they don't have a second or like a fourth 1-mana Twiddle effect, and then enough to go off beyond that. It's not very likely that they have 4. Yeah. Now I have to discard 6 cards down to 2. Deals Unbound is a super cool card. It's great in this deck. Only have one piece of interaction up here. So I guess we Sanctuary back Cryptic Command. And then we can go Remand. I hope that's good enough. Then just cast Snapcaster, then suit the sword up and hold up Cryptic. This isn't spliced, although it's kind of weird it's not spliced. I suppose they haven't shown us. It's just unlucky for them that they haven't found the spliced Twiddle yet. Yeah, we should have bounced in response to the Lotus Field. It was not a play that was on my radar, but it would have been a game-winning play and something that you guys should, I suppose, be on the lookout for. All right, if my opponent taps my Snapcaster, they'll have 1 card in their hand. Should be fine. Playing the blue source, we can have Cryptic plus Remand. Oh, we had it anyways. Okay, whatever. So last time they brought in Thing in the Ice and Aria Flame. I'm not sure. I kind of think they're not going to bring in the Thing in the Ice this time, though, since like they know we know about it. So I think I just want like Triple Gust to counter Veil, Aria Flame, and Past in Flames. And if they do play Thing in the Ice, we can just beat it with Teferi. We can Mystical Dispute it, or we can just sometimes, you know, let them flip it, then put a Batterskull into play and ignore it. When am I going to get a Pet Shark IRL? Good question. I honestly would love to have a pimped out dope aquarium. That's a dream of mine. Why all the weirds? Yeah, it's still because of the PAX thing, Fran. Yeah, I would love to have a sweet aquarium. I wonder if I put it behind me on the, like, if I just put it behind the stream, if I could use it as a tax write-off as a business expense. Probably not. Okay, I think we have to keep this 6-card hand. I'm gonna put back Batterskull. What is the Statcaster for? Tribal decks mostly. I'm playing it instead of a sweeper effect. Yep, just playing it instead of a sweeper effect because I don't usually like sweepers in the Stoneblade decks. But you could play a Verdict or Anger in those spots and it'd be fine. So they're probably light on lands. So they probably have a Lotus Field and not another land to play. So maybe this was their draw off of the Reach Through Mists. Hard to say for sure. Yeah, just remand the Lotus Field. Easy peasy. I think we just let this Ideas Unbound resolve every single time in this spot. Sweepers used to be such a core part of Control. Why do you think people are moving away from them? Well, I mean, this is not a control deck, is one thing. I mean, it can play the role of a control deck, but I've kind of always viewed Stoneblade as being more of a mid-range deck. And like I'm playing 4 Stoneforge Mystic in my decks, which don't play well with sweepers because you're killing your Stoneforge Mystics, and also being able to have Stoneforge plus Batterskull plus Sword of Fire and Ice is often very, very good against the creature decks, which makes you need sweepers less. And so I just haven't liked sweepers very much in Stoneblade. We have this Teferi is pretty good to pitch to Force here, so I think I'll plus Teferi so it doesn't die to Grape Shot. The plussing Teferi is also good against Aria Flame, so if they can't really play it into a Teferi, they can just bounce it. Also, same argument against Thing in the Ice. I would really not recommend playing Mana Leak over Remand right now. Just being able to remand Uro, I think, is incredibly important. But I don't hate playing Jace over Cryptic. I think Cryptic is a little bit better because you need like at least 20 spells to play 4 Snap. But whatever, you can do what you want. Well, I'm going to refill my coffee cup while we wait, and hopefully when I come back, I'll be untapped and I'll have drawn a land and I'll go Stoneforge plus Remand. Oh, cool, we did untap. Basically exactly what I asked for happened. Cool. How do I take my coffee? I kind of vary. I usually like to drink 1 cup hot in the morning with a little bit of creamer, and then I put it in the fridge, and then I like my second cup and a half to be cold and black. But sometimes I like black and black and hot. Not sold on this Remand being good. Evil laugh. Nice Veil of Summer. See if they just cycle the Veil. No, they just conceded. Sure. Do I think blue-red or blue-black Delver are viable in Modern? Maybe. I think there's a lot of red decks, which Delver tends to not do well against, but maybe the meta can shift. I like Kahlua a little bit more, although it's pretty expensive, so I'd have to usually even if I had Kahlua, I usually didn't have very much left, and so I'd have to get a little creative. Keeping this hand. Not sure. Maybe we should have put back Snapcaster, but I do love Snapcasting Wildfire. Is Thieves Guild Enforcer playable in Modern? Probably not, as long as Uro is around. But maybe. Guess I should have played my Flooded Strand to play around Arbiter, huh? Oh, wow. Just a little bit of lag there, I guess. Would love to just be able to bounce this Vial and really slip my opponent's mana development back. Hell yeah. I will fetch now. If they Vial an Arbiter, I'll pay, but I think if they had an Arbiter, they would have just played it first. Yeah, wizards could just put Force of Negation in chests more often. They've done that in the past. I remember they did that with Nexus of Fate. If they put in Thalia here, which would be kind of weird for them to not just put it into play first. But if they did put in Thalia, they couldn't replay their Vial. Yeah, if they play an Arbiter, we get to Wildfire their lands. That'd be so sweet. This cannot flicker Vial, right? Only creatures. They do get to Scry 2, which probably finds them their land. It's gotta be Stoneforge, maybe. You were wrong, Mickey. Also, how are you doing, Mickey? Long time, no time. I think I'm just gonna snap Wildfire my flagstones. Do I think Modern Horizons was good or bad for Modern? Good overall. I think that Hogak, Urza, and Astrolabe were pretty big mistakes, but outside of that, I liked most of the things, and I think that like Force of Negation was great. I think Wrenn and 6 is actually pretty good for Modern. I know a lot of people dislike it, but I think giving Jund a reason to be Jund was kind of nice. They also missed their land drop off the Charming Prince. Definitely something to note. Yeah, I like Force of Vigor a lot. That was a really good one. I think that they'll get it. I imagine that they'll do even better next time. I'm like really looking forward to the next Modern Horizons. I think it has a lot of potential. Yeah, Soul Herder is a really good one. Ephemerate was a great addition. I feel like the swords were kind of misses. I like I like giving these lands too. I think these were pretty good choices to add. There's a lot to like. And like there are three pretty big mistakes. Even though Urza is like pretty managed now, like Urza with Astrolabe and Opal was just absurd. Anybody want to guess what we're doing here? Anybody got a guess? The news here, yeah. I do think the swords are pretty hard to balance. I think maybe they're not, but I do feel like they were misses. Turn to 5, hard cast Shark Typhoon. Wowee. I'll probably block the Charming Prince this time to like get the Giver of Runes tapped. Well, maybe I just want something to equip a sword onto. I don't know. But I think the main way we lose is just being, them being able to sneak in a bunch of damage with Giver of Runes. So if we can just like tank a hit here, I think we'll be fine. Yeah, Throne of Eldraine was one of the highest power level sets that were standard legal ever. Guess I want to maybe Wildfire my own flagstones because there's Thalia in play. We do have a Sacred Foundry and a mountain, or sorry, a Prairie Stream and a mountain to get. No, we drew the Prairie Stream off of the Wildfire. Damn it! Not the end of the world, but obnoxious. Happy Monday, Hitachi. So I will say that while Eldraine also had its mistakes, Eldraine was also one of my favorite standard sets ever. I loved Eldraine. I loved the flavor. I loved so many of the cards were really interesting and unique to build around. Once Upon a Time and Oko were mistakes, but like there's tons to love about Eldraine. The flavor, tons of really interesting cards. There's a lot to like. So we can play sort of Feast and Famine and then equip onto both sharks next turn. Yeah, I don't know. I don't hate Mystic Sanctuary or Dispute. Yeah, Fires was sweet. Honestly, like, look, let's do an experiment here. Let's take a break. Sorry, opponent. Just real quick. Just like look at all the cards that are just so interesting and like make like very powerful. Brazen Borrower, Embercleave, Questing Beast, Brazen Borrower. I mean, Gorvold, Kinrith. All of these are just like big hits. Rankle, the Great Henge, Robber of the Rich, Royal Scions, hit. The Castles, Bone Crusher Giant, Charming Prince, hit. Imri, Fave Wishes, Fabled Passage, Fires of Invention, Fervent Champion, Gilded Goose. All of these are just incredibly big hits in my mind. Ironcrag Feet, Hushbringer, Lovestruck Beast, Ironcrag Pyromancer is sweet. Murderous Rider is a huge hit. Like this is a miss. Oko is a miss. Stonecoil Serpent is a huge hit in my mind. Torbrand is a huge hit. Just all of these cards I just love to death. Deafening Silence is a huge hit. Drown in the Lock, Into the Story. I just love. There's so much about this set I love. Like definitely really high power level, no denying that. But I just do really like the set overall. I think we double block. We block both here, and if they want to pro white this, that's fine. Embercleave is a miss. I think Embercleave is a hit. I played standard with Embercleave. I think it's like largely fine. Yeah, the flavor. I just loved Eldraine. Love Throne of Eldraine. Yeah, the castles were big. Yeah, just like so many of the cards are just huge hits. Oko and Once Upon a Time were pretty big mistakes. Although even Once Upon a Time, I mean, Once Upon a Time definitely a mistake, but it's also just like the card does have weaknesses where it's like a pretty bad top deck, and I don't know. Once Upon a Time was too good, but it wasn't like the most annoying card to play against. You love your Spike, but I do feel like a huge portion of those cards are huge misses from a balance standpoint. Maybe. I feel free to disagree, but I just love basically every card I talked about. I just love. I think it's totally fine to say like a lot of the cards I said were hits or misses, but I liked most of the cards I talked about there. So just casting Batterskull and casting Wildfire, not attacking. What even is that Batterskull art? Can't you tell? Isn't it like super obvious? This is I don't know, Fran. Yeah, Giant Killer is really cool. I tend to like high power cards that like I like when Magic changes a lot. Do I think Companions were a mistake or a misstep in judging the power level of the mechanic? I loved Companion Modern to death. It was one of my favorite environments ever for Modern. Still to this day, I loved Companion. I think that Yorion and Lurrus were power level mistakes with the original Companion rule, but if those cards were balanced differently or just not existed, I think that we may just still have the old Companion mechanic as a thing in Modern. I think that I do think like mistakes were made for sure, but I think that overall I liked Companion a lot. So our opponent's probably going to give Pro Blue to their Thalia. Oh, they can't give Pro Blue because playing White Swords with Giver of Runes stinks. It's so bad to play Giver with a White Sword, which is why you usually don't see me play those two cards together. Overwatch Bird might be too strong. Yeah, maybe. Like I definitely think they'd be really pushed. But I never got bored of Companion in Modern. I never got bored of it. I had fun with it basically the entire time. So we can bolt Thalia, then play Sword of Feast and Famine. Can we also equip? Bolt, Feast and Famine, equip, yeah. And they can't give Pro White. Yeah. Luris and Yorion definitely were not balanced very well, but I really liked Companion as a mechanic. I thought it led to some very interesting deck building. It led to some very interesting matches, and I should also say that mechanics like Companion, Adventure, Escape, Jump Start, the double-faced lands, the land slash spells, all of these mechanics are printed to reduce the non-games that happen in Magic due to Mana Screw and Mana Flood. And now that we've seen more and more of these mechanics printed over the last like year and a half, 2 years, we are seeing, and the London Mulligan, like I think Magic is overall a better game, or at least it's a game I enjoy more. I feel like variance has been reduced by a lot. But again, that's just how I like to play Magic. I like Magic to be a relatively low variance game. I know a lot of people aren't on that side of the fence. And that's fine. That's kind of the beautiful thing, right? Everybody enjoys this game differently. I remember Kihira. I remember top 8ing a Legacy Challenge with Kihira in my Storm deck after Luris was banned. I might feel differently because I can afford Baubles and Yorion decks. I mean, I don't own them. I just have a rental service. I've never owned any of these cards. Like, yeah, I never... you know, only am very recently getting back into paper Magic. But I just rented all of them. Yeah, but I like Magic being a lower variance game. I know a lot of people don't, but that's also fine. Yeah, I think I'm just going to Stoneforge and just make them answer Stoneforge. Yeah, Counterbalance of the Companion era was such a delight. Like, ugh, man. A lot of good memories. Hey, Strict. So next turn we can put in Batterskull, and then next turn we can Lightning Bolt and Cleansing Wildfire. It's pretty good. Prairie Stream's coming into play. Untapped if we get a basic Plains. I think we're supposed to get a Triome. I really don't think that we've seen the last of the counterbalance decks. I know, like, I mostly have just felt like Stoneforge Mystic has been like the best way to fight the Uro piles for like the non-Uro blue decks, and that's why I haven't played Counterbalance. But not tapping Flagstone first for mana, what would we have done with the mana? There's a Thalia in place, so we can't bolt first. Game over, I guess. They missed a land drop. Wait, they missed their third land. How is their play to sack Silent Clearing if they missed their third land? I have no idea how this was the line. Sure, like, I almost think that had to be a misclick, right? Oh, you're just goofing around, Panda. I have been pretty clear that this is a no-joke stream, but I guess I'll let it slide one more time. But again, new people to the channel, no jokes allowed. I'm really anti-humor, anti-fun. Yeah, that's just gotta be a misclick. If you're having a good time right now, I would recommend just leaving. And maybe rethinking some of your decisions. No, you're wrong. There are no jokes on this channel. I definitely don't tell the same 3 jokes over and over again. It's certainly not the environment I'm trying to cultivate. Yeah, this is serious, trying to win, and, you know, honestly, you guys are kind of distracting me in general. Oh yeah, community jokes are fine. In fact, I would even go as far to say if you make a community joke, you're streets ahead. Streets ahead the rest of the channel. Do I think Tron is dead on meta because of so many land destruction? No, I don't. I think Tron is probably still fine. They can't replay this Arbiter. I'll just remand. Yeah, all the streets ahead lead to Rome. I wonder if there's some way to just blend every single joke we have into one super joke. It's probably not possible. But maybe, just maybe, crazy enough to work. Yeah, so I don't really care too much if they relic order my Typhoon. I mean, if they ghost quarter themselves to replay the relic order, they could have recast it, but I think we're also like content if that happened. All right, GG opponent. Why do I like the hardcast Typhoon so much? Mostly because it wins the game every single time. You know, when you have a modal card like Shark Typhoon, it just is going to be correct to hardcast it some of the time, and it is pretty fun when it happens. Keep this. Sounds definitely slow, but I have Teferi on the play in the Cryptic. You've seen people hardcast Typhoon when it's the last card in their hand. I think that's correct to do against very specific decks and draws. I think that's probably correct to do against... it's probably supposed to get Basic Island off of Tarn here, actually. I think that's probably... I think it's usually correct to do that against... sorry, losing my train of thought. Against like Jund when live totals are pretty even, if you feel like they can't deal with it. If you feel like if you feel like the matchup is just going to go to top decks, I don't mind hardcasting it in those spots. I'm going to play Teferi here, and then plus we can bounce Blood Moon next turn. Or we can just go bounce Blood Moon and then Stoneforge and put in Batterskull. But I like playing Teferi to get around Bloodbraid Elf in this spot. Worst case scenario, kind of hope they exert. They do exert. Force is an interesting draw. So if we can fade a second Glorybringer, I'm still feeling okay. Am I liking the new arts? I am. I haven't seen Ponza in a while. It's nice that we have Cleansing Wildfire in our deck for the Utopia Sprawls. So we can play sort of Fire and Ice and get a hit in. Or we can... I think that I'd rather just cast Sword of Fire and Ice, though, and then put into Batterskull. I don't hate the new Batterskull art. I know a lot of people don't like it. I think it's kind of goofy, but Batterskull is also kind of a goofy card anyways. Wildfire would only take them off 1 mana. I mean, it would take them off 2, right? They have 2 sprawls. That's still like a good trade in most spots anyways. It's a 2 for 1. So I think that we don't block the Seasoned Pyromancer to play, so we can play around a Lightning Bolt. Feels relatively free, or a Germ Token. Okay, they didn't have it, but still feel fine about our play. Gonna hold up Remand instead of playing the Sword of Fire and Ice, of course. What's the opinion of Blue-White Sharkblade? Is Wildfire that good? I do think Wildfire is just great. I think Wildfire is maybe just that good, but I mostly just want to try this out. And also, Sharkblade got hurt because no longer is Onthanice, I think, a very good card because like the red decks are playing Wildfires now. And you would usually like to play Onthanice against Prowess, so I think that Wildfire is better than Spreading Seas, and bolts also are, not too bad in Stoneforge Mystic decks anyways. But I'm mostly just trying this out. Yeah, I still think I want to hold up Remand. Oh, damn it. Fair enough, I guess. They're killing the Sword of Fire and Ice, not the Batter Skull. I do think that's a testament to how good Fire Ice is in this matchup. I do think that we need to Feast and Famine equip. That way the Germ token doesn't die to a Glorybringer Exert next turn. I'm curious in your opinion of this because you are known as a brewer. Brewing is my favorite part of Magic most times. To me, it feels like the recent reduction of variance makes a bigger gap between top decks and others. Clearly, this isn't stopping my brewing, but it stops some of mine. Do I feel like the gap is growing? Not in Modern. That does sound like true of what I understand Standard to be at the moment, but that has not been my experience in Modern really for a while even. But I'm not trying to like toot my own horn too much, but I think my brewing has been going really well lately, and I've been making some of the best decks I ever have, and that's like with the London Mulligan existing and stuff. Yeah, Wildfire is also just getting you mana underneath Blood Moon pretty nice in a matchup like this. I don't think we need to bolt anything. If anything, like the reduced variance will just like, in my opinion, maybe even tell you when your brew is bad faster, you know? Like you'll just find out if your brew doesn't work quicker than you would otherwise. It's a pretty good top deck. So we can bounce Batter Skull and replay it. And then their Glorybringers are exerted, but then they get to exert again next turn. We're taking a bunch from the Clothis. I did see that Flagstones had spiked. I'm going to block the Spyro. I don't think we just can't afford to play around things here. Yeah, we're dead to a burn spell on us if we don't block. Alright, losing game 1. Gonna bring in the Gusts. How do you feel about Is It Staticaster? Staticaster makes bolts, kill Glorybringers, kills Spyro tokens, kills Arbor Elf. Don't hate it. I do like Teferi a lot in this matchup. I like the forces. I will say I don't usually like spot removal very much against Prowess. Or sorry, against Ponza. I like Path because it kills their big 5-drops, but Bolt is like only good against Arbor Elf, and it's like you're getting 2 for 1 if you bolt literally anything else. So I probably want to play like maybe 2 bolts. Maybe no remands, maybe 1 remand. Something like this. You have Gust and Path, and again, like I think that just leaving in a ton of 1 mana 1 for 1s, it just isn't all that good against Prowess or Ponza. But I think 1 Staticaster is fine. Let's keep this hand. Yeah, this hand's good. Just turn 2 Gust, turn 3 Teferi. Teferi is good against both Bloodbraid Elf and Blood Moon. Runs Mold to 6. Yeah, Teferi is just so surprisingly good in this matchup. It's great against Clothis, Blood Moon, and Bloodbraid Elf. And also like makes them boil at instant speed, which is relevant. Love to draw a Wildfire. Did not draw a Wildfire, that's fine. I guess I'm just gonna draw step Gust the Sprawl. I usually like to Gust the Sprawl. This is kind of bad against Veil of Summer, but most Ponza players don't play Veil because of Bloodbraid Elf anyways. And I think that there's a decent chance that they're going to want to return the Sprawl here and replay it. They put it on the bottom, though. Is there consideration for more paths in general? Or is Bolt that good in the shell? I think that Bolt is like a little bit better than Path at the moment, but not by a lot. I think that you don't need to go overboard on Paths if you have access to Bolt. I think my heart is telling me to get basic planes. I think planes is pretty good in this matchup. Yeah, I think that if you have bolts and helix, you just don't need to like lean on path as much. If they have Blood Moon stops Flagstone from getting you a land. Just gonna pass. Probably bolting the Bone Crusher. Waiting till combat. A Boil, Chandra. Teferi stops Chandra from generating card advantage. We also have Snap Gust, so I'm not too afraid of this. I'm gonna minus. We have another Teferi in our hand. Interesting draw. Really want to draw a land, but this is good. Does kind of play into Boil, I guess. I'm gonna Sacred Foundry. Gust Chandra to her own ability. It's kind of cute. But Teferi again just shuts off Chandra's ability. Another card Teferi is good against in this matchup. Not that the life loss is irrelevant, but we can just kind of take our time to deal with it. They can also do that. Make some mana to play Klothys and another 3-drop. That 3-drop is, drumroll, Collector Oof. Kind of feel like Oof stinks. He bounce Klothys. Really like to find a land. Still trying to find a land. I have like 4 draw steps here we've missed. Oh, sorry, this is the 4th and we missed. Damn it. I don't think playing the Snapcaster out there was that good because we have like Gust and Bolts, like Gust to deal with Chandra, Bolt to deal with the Oof. But now that we have just like not found any lands, I wish I had been more mana efficient. They're not playing the Sprawl, so they can play their Oof instead. Well, I guess I just Gust the Chandra in their draw step. And then snap bolt the Wrenn and 6. And maybe trade snap for Oof. Missed so many land drops here. Glory Banger. It's pretty good. You can snap Gust maybe. Stoneforge is interesting. I think I'm just gonna pass. Still wild that we just haven't hit a land. I'm gonna make a 3/3 shark here. I think it's a little better than like snap, block, and Gust the Glorybringer. We know one of their cards is Klothys. So now we can maybe, if they just play Klothys, which they're not. Awkward draw. Finally found that land. Life total is getting kind of low. One of their cards is Klothys. We don't know the other one. So what if we go draw step, Gust, snap Gust? I think that's good. We need Skull to survive. I feel like we're going to 4 and not 3. I think we're surviving. So I'm going to Gust, Glorybringer, snap Gust, Chandra. We can still get Batter Skull. And like they have Klothys, we can bounce we can go like Teferi, bounce Klothys. If we draw a land, we can go Stoneforge, sort of Feast and Famine, equip and hit. maybe. Chandra is less scary than Glorybringer. They do go top, so we have, that perfect information. The second Rin and 6 is scary. They kill the Snapcaster, not dealing 3 to me. We drew Batterskull. It's actually a nice draw. So I think that I do want to bounce the Clothis. And then now we can Wildfire to shuffle those really powerful spells. And play Stoneforge Mystic and hope. Another sword. Can I lower my camera so I can see the newest of game actions? I have never once seen the chat full. I kind of like with my face being kind of symmetrically in the middle. But I'll keep the suggestion in mind. We're dead next turn. We were dead this turn if they just burned us. Yeah, opponent is lethal. We need to find a gust though. Otherwise it just doesn't matter. Oh, that's not true. We can just attack the Rin and 6 for 1. Yeah. We can attack Rin and 6 for 1. Make a 1/1 shark, and then if they don't kill my Stoneforge Mystic, we can put Batterskull into play and then equip onto the shark. Nice. Zach, 7 months in a row. Welcome back, bud. Implying that you ever went anywhere. Former teammate and current friend, Zach Elsick. So yeah, see, if I try to shrink the chat, it doesn't shrink. It doesn't go lower. Can I make the game action window smaller and raise the bottom row? Yes, that's better. Opponent mislethal again. I can't believe they mislethal again. Man. We're 1 mana short of a Batterskull plus equip Batterskull. I don't think our opponent's trolling. I think they've just tunnel visioned. They didn't miss it. It was 2 damage either way. What are you talking? They could have plus to. Wait, did they reveal the stomp off Chandra? I thought they revealed Utopia Sprawl. I thought they revealed Utopia Sprawl, but if they revealed Bone Crusher Giant, then you are right. It was not a punt. They were just dead though. Anyways. Stinks. Fun match though. Fun match. Vault 2 and 1. I guess actually if we just gust the Clothis, never mind. Maybe that we could have lived. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna try to keep this hand. It's like kind of loose, but we got remand on the play at least. Looks like the window resized by itself. Hopefully that doesn't keep happening. The old force negation against humans and no burn spells. Just like in the challenge yesterday or Saturday. Is blue-white control going to be dead in the new meta? It's just too early to say anything like that. Anybody who tells you definitively that a deck is not good in a new format, just like, I don't know. I think that it's too early to tell stuff like that. We just don't know yet. I don't think anybody knows for sure what is or isn't good right now. format is like changing on every day. Like last weekend, Mill wins the challenge, and I think it's probably fair, or it's maybe Mill is just never does well again if people know how to play against it or prepared for it for a while. Mardu midrange will be mediocre in this meta and all future metas. I'd say that's a pretty safe bet, yeah. I'll let this go. I doubt they name Snapcaster. Yeah, they name Lightning Bolt. They still have the champion of the Parish, so it's kind of weird. I'll flash in the Snapcaster. I think that they could maybe name Snapcaster at this point. They probably name Helix or Path to Exile or maybe Cryptic Command. They name Cryptic Command. Weird draw. Suppose there is a non-zero chance we want to Sanctuary something back at some point. There doesn't seem to be a very high cost to fetching an island over playing Mystic Sanctuary this turn. I think Mill is probably just like an okay deck if people aren't respecting it and if they don't know how to play against it. But I haven't had a very hard time playing against Mill. I think I have played against Mill dozens of times in my life, and I think I just kind of counter the stuff that matters and kill their crabs and try to kill them before they mill me out. It's like very similar to burn matchups. Interesting. I guess they're just going to start chumping Snapcaster Mage with Champion and Hierarch. They name Supreme Verdict. Okay, that card's not on my deck. Not that it's an unreasonable thing to name Supreme Verdict here. Alright, so they're going to chump block with Champion, or at least they definitely should. A lot of times people just like don't block your Sword of Fire and Ice creature. I don't really understand why. But our opponent is smart and handsome and knows what's up. Gonna make just a 1/1 shark to block. There are some Mill guys in the Everos Discord that maintain Mill as tier 1. That's awesome. Awesome and not very true. But people just always want their pet decks to be tier 1 or the new brew to be unstoppable, and that's fine. It's part of Magic. Also, I will say that tier 1, in my opinion, usually always means decks that people are playing the most, not necessarily decks that are the most competitive. But I would say that, again, in my mind, tier 1 more so means what good decks are people playing a lot? Like what is like 5 to 10% of the meta. Drew a Reflector Mage, which they can't target anything. I think that we're not dead if we play Batterskull. Shouldn't be. I don't think we can attack with the Snapcaster, but yeah, easily not dead. Almost any deck can be tier 1 for a tournament if I get lucky. That's just not what I would expect tier 1 to be. Like, I think very often a tier 1 deck is not the best deck for a tournament. But if you win a tournament with a deck that is not super represented, I don't think it is a tier 1 deck, and I don't think it is it becomes a tier 1 deck because you win a tournament. I think that tier 1 is the good decks that people are playing the most of, and then the tier 2 decks are decks that people are trying to play to beat that, and then a tier 3 deck is usually something that is not very popular in the meta, but sometimes is uniquely positioned. The 4th Meddling Mage, huh? The whole tier system, like, everybody has different definitions of what they mean, so I think it's pretty beneficial for me to like dictate what I think the different tiers of Magic decks are. But defining it is pretty important. Everybody has different definitions. Is this named? Just got named. But this is usually very good against humans. Yeah, I agree that tiers are abstract, and they also like fluctuate day to day, week to week, and it's not always very beneficial to obsess over them. So if they draw, they can't reflect your Mage My Germ. I guess I'm just gonna shock and hold up a 3/3 shark. Yeah, I'm also like I agree that Stoneforge like really is just good and modern in these kind of shells now. All right, so I don't want the remands or the forces. I think our humans matchup is better than it was in the hard control deck, for whatever that's worth. I usually like the second gust before any number of remand. Not that the card is any good, really. I don't think I do a certain number of deck texts, but maybe I have it set to a certain number. If you can't see the option, I have it set to be a certain number. I'll have to spend some time changing that. Yeah, we're pretty behind there for a little bit. Why it's a fairy in the matchup? Mostly because Force of Negation and Remand are so bad that you need to find room for other cards. You can't redeem it when you have 20k. Okay, I'll see if I can change that real quick. I don't remember setting it to be a certain number, but I very clearly did. If you can't see one, yeah, Mantis Rider has Hierarch and Mantis or Mantis Rider, and sometimes can get something else, but is also just not a very good card in the matchup. But again, Remand and Force of Negation are so bad that you just need to cut them for cards. Okay, drawing that, I'm pretty happy to go Bolt into Stoneforge Mystic here, into Triumph plus activate Stoneforge, hopefully. Right now I have to figure out how to change that. Alright, I'll mess with it later, unless someone wants to type out the instructions for me. But you can just, this one can be on me, old regime. They name lightning bolts. Yeah, you can have one for free, regime, if you just want to post in the chat. What are my thoughts on EE as a sideboard card? I think that Staticaster is a little bit better, but EE is okay. Like EE, Anger, Verdicts. One of those is probably the best. I'm just not sure which at the moment. Yeah, I don't know why this got changed to light blue. I agree, it's really hard to read. All right, Mardu Burn with Scourge of the Skyclaves. This is about how I'd start to build it. I think you probably want Eidolons in your sideboard. I think you probably want 4 Eidolons for the combo decks. 4 Bobble is a lot of bobbles. Like, the card's a pretty bad top deck. I know it does, of course, go well with Luris and Swift Spear. And it's also good that you don't have Eidolons to be a nombo with Bobble. Yeah, I don't think I'd play Stony Silence or Rest in Peace, probably. Or Kolagon's Command, maybe. I would probably, instead of Thoughtseize, should be Eidolons for sure. And I think it's a little too early to tell how many of these kind of effects you need out of your burn deck. I would play 4 Cleansing Wildfire in the sideboard. This is cool. This is a cool list. It's also possible you just main deck Eidolon too, but I'd have to play some before I really felt comfortable with a split of some kind. What do I think of Sky Hussar? Any modern shell for it? I was actually commissioned. Oh, wow. Huh. Cool. I was commissioned to play or brew around it kind of recently, or maybe it found its way into a different brew. But I did like this deck, kind of. I liked things about it. I liked Sky Hussar with 4 Force of Negation, and I like Sky Hussar. I also like Luris with 4 Force of Negation and Bobble, just mitigating that card advantage. I liked that. I liked so like the main idea here was Martyr Frost and rebuying it with Luris and being able to sacrifice it to counter a spell every turn. But that felt like the worst part of the deck, so I don't think I'd include it again if I was to play this deck. But I actually didn't mind Sky Hussar, so there's a shell to start off with, I suppose. How good has Cleansing Wildfire been? I know you like Spreading Seas in blue-white. Do I think it is a reason? Cleansing Wildfire has been great, honestly. It's just been really, really good every single time I draw it, I feel. I've been really impressed by it, so yeah, I would say it's probably enough of a reason to be straight blue-red. I think I'm killing the freebooter. They only have one card in their hand. Mantis Rider is, of course, tough. Yeah, I think I'd rather just Snapcaster block Meddling Mage than Cleansing Wildfire. And then we can maybe play an equipped Sword of Feast and Famine next turn, and then cycle Shark Typhoon and kill something, hopefully. So this is Sharkblade featuring Wildfire, yes. Alright, Mantis Rider, scary. I will just play Snapcaster as a chump blocker. You're down to 6. So we shock, we're dead to... Oh no, we don't have triple blue. So we can play an equipped sword. We go down to 4 to do so. Does get their last card and draws us a card. Isn't Wildfire mostly worse than Spreading Seas? No, I think it's mostly better. I mean, obviously I think that, right? Because if I thought it was mostly worse, I wouldn't be playing it. He'll chump. Yeah, I guess I'll just let them chump with the Lieutenant to make a 1/1 shark or 2/2 shark. I guess just 1/1 so we could draw a path. Just attack and tap down creatures. Oh, we do have triple blue. Duh. I don't know why I didn't think I had triple blue. I thought this was Triumph just throwing me off, I think. Could bounce the Mantis Rider. I think if my opponent was Hellbent, I would. I'm just going to draw instead. So we're not dead if we leave the Stoneforge Mystic back and they don't draw anything. Feels like it's kind of asking for a lot. Seems like the safest line. Rocken has redeemed a Pet Athena. I think she's still napping. Let me get to this confidence boost. I'm assuming this is a real deck tech just because the deck tech option isn't there. Oh, I see. Alright, let me get into character. I haven't ever seen this card in Modern before. I don't know, 0-mana artifacts usually aren't very good. They just don't, 0 mana is nice, but Metalcraft, add 1 mana of any color, activate this ability only if you control 3 or more artifacts. I guess you have enough artifacts to make this a pretty good card. Kind of weird to not see anybody play with it before. So Ironwork sacrifices an artifact, and you get 2 mana. So I see, you're playing it with like Chromatic Star and Sphere to make mana, draw cards, but how do you win? Pyrite Spellbomb, that can deal damage. Dealing damage sometimes wins. And you can return it with this card, Scrap Trawler. Wow, this is very innovative. I bet there's something there. I could see it being. I want to caution you. It's like probably likely that deck isn't good. So I would try not to get your hopes up if you you know, I just don't be too disappointed if the deck ends up being bad. Wait, why? Yeah, why would they attack with the ground creatures while I have Batter Skull? You're gonna block. Make a 1/1 shark to block Rider. You have Dismember, I guess. Yeah, we found Matt Nass's alternate account. I think we killed the Meddling Mage. Yeah, kill the Meddling Mage I think is good. Can we just equip the Batter Skull into the Stoneforge? Does it bother me that the box topper Stoneforge is holding 2 swords of fire and ice? Fire and fire. Not really. I feel like there's, you know, she's still in the sword making process there, right? You know, she's got a, yeah, I don't know how, you know, artificers make swords necessarily, but I feel like she's still in the process there. Huh. I think we have to mulligan this. Yeah. Can keep this one. I suppose we put back Bolt when we have no red mana. Yeah, every round. And Zach was like one of the best KCI pilots I think there was, but like when you know your opponent's playing KCI and you're also prepped for it for the tournament, it was tough. Is there any footage of KCI to PT? It would be, oh no, did our opponent skip through their turn? It would have been PT, the 25th anniversary in Minneapolis. That's the one where my team played. So maybe they just dredged that. No, I think they just skipped their first turn, unless they kept a 0-lander on 6 as dredge, which would never happen if you're keeping good hands. Red Source would be nice. Yes, you can destroy your own land with Wildfire. That's the combo. I guess I didn't really answer that guy's question, but like Wildfire being mana disruption and also being ramp, I think makes it better than Spreading Seas. And I'll also say that splashing for red in this deck it's not that hard to do because you have the Triome. So I think they're Ponza. Pretty unfortunate to have not drawn a land after the Typhoon and the Remand by turn 4, but if they do Blood Moon us, we can at least get a Plains by wildfiring our flagstones. And they also skipped through their first turn, so not the end of the world. There we go. Ding, 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 ding. Just gonna basic Mountain, I think. I'll get basic Plains and then Triome. Oops. Oh no! Damn it. I meant to click the Triome. I thought I could click away in time, but it didn't let me. Whatever. It's going to be fine. Not the end of the world. Who's barking? Just a dog outside. Oh, I forgot to pet Athena. I'll go do that. She's napping. We stayed up kind of late last night watching this movie. Whenever we do that, Athena just naps all day. We watched I'm Thinking of Ending Things. It's on Netflix. And I didn't like it very much. I didn't think it was a good movie. That was okay. Felt like it had potential to be better than it was. If that makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna go pet Athena. Sorry about that. Yeah, the movie is definitely weird as hell, and that's not inherently bad. You know, it kind of reminded me of The Lighthouse in the sense that it was just super duper weird and coded in 1,000 layers of like imagery and symbolism and just like rhetoric in general. And I, am of the opinion that just because your movie has a lot of imagery doesn't make it good. You have to like be saying something or be showing something interesting still, rather than just being intentionally confusing, I guess. I'm sure that there are people who will like it, and I'm sure that there are people who do like it. I am not one of those people. So we have a ton of options here. Ton of options. We can Teferi, bounce Blood Moon, and then path our own Snapcaster. We can snap Wildfire their forest. Do I still feel like 23 is the right number of lands? I do. Maybe I can reconsider, but I like 23. We can just cast Sword of Fire and Ice, hold up path. I kind of like this. Maybe not. Cast Stoneforge and they have one card left. Got Stoneforge. Stoneforge blocks their board pretty well. We can also just flash in Snapcaster maybe if we need another body. I think Confounding Conundrum, in my opinion, it was like the most overhyped card going into Zendikar. I think that maybe it sees some play as a sideboard card, but like it just doesn't seem like it's better than Spreading Seas or Cleansing Wildfire in the main. And like it's like, I know it's super cute. It's so cute that you can bounce a land with Field of Ruin, but it just doesn't seem like it's that big a deal, or that it's that good against most decks in Modern. The Flagstones synergize with Cleansing Wildfire to wildfire your own Flagstones. I think the God account's in today, but I'm not 100% sure. What about Cleansing Wildfire and Confounding Conundrum in the main? Well, they only synergize if you have a Conundrum in play, and if you have oh no, Pillage is so good here. Not the end of the world. Like we can just hardcast Batterskull. They only synergize if you have a Conundrum in play and a Teferi plussing to like bounce a land on your opponent's turn, or if you double Wildfire. I just like think too much needs to go right for Confounded Conundrum, and then even if all of this stuff goes right, all it really is you know, bouncing a land, which is not even that good. I think it's just a sideboard card if anything. Playing this so if we draw a land we can equip a sword to it. Did not. Oh, sorry, we can't equip a sword because of the stinking Pillage, but we can play Sword of Fire and Ice. I'm playing Sword of Fire and Ice over Feast and Famine here. They have no cards in their hand anyways, and they have more red creatures than green creatures, especially like these red chump blockers. Fire Ice I have just kind of found to be the more important sword in this matchup. You want to try a blue-white control with 4 Conundrum. I think you have to respect the fact that Field of Ruin gives them no real benefit, nor does Path. I think it's going to be worse than Spreading Seas if you do. Spreading Seas like is really impactful against your opponent's mana the turn it comes down. Conundrum requires you to Path or Field of Ruin and really just slows them down. Saying no real benefit I think is a little bit of a hyperbole. A hyperbole. Like I think really like there are ways you can, you know, play Conundrum to be an effective card, but just in my opinion, those ways are just usually going to be worse than some of your other options. Well, this was a great top deck for them, and we have no way to path it. So I guess we need to get the pro green sword down. What a great top deck. Maybe we should just be 104.3Aing and as trample. Don't have a second planes. I don't think I'm going to 104.38 just yet. We can double equip onto the Snapcaster and just eat the Gargaroth next turn. Still take 1 point of damage, I guess. Still take 1 from the Gargaroth, and then we take... We're dead if they attack with everything. Shit. So I guess we have to double equip onto Stoneforge Mystic. So we're not dead. They still just get to attack with everything. But if we draw a land, we get to play Batterskull pre-combat, hit them, untap our mana, and then equip both swords onto the Batterskull, and we could win that way. I feel like any card besides Gargaroth, like we're in great shape. Yeah, I forgot to add the 104.38 channel point reward. Be pretty funny. I mean, I don't think we're there right now though. I do not have another basic planes, no. But if we draw a land, we're not in bad shape. If they don't have any great follow-up, of course. We just have a Batterskull with both swords equipped. We have one Force of Negation for like the first spell, of course, too. That defeats us. We have no outs to that, I guess. Right? This is game 1, so we have no Gust, no Plains. Can't force this. This is a creature while it's on the stack. Didn't draw the land anyways. Okay, bummer. Close game. Last time I brought in Staticaster against this deck, I think I'm no longer feeling it. Actually, I think I should have cut Cryptic Command last time also. I think Cryptic Command is just like really hard to cast in this matchup. Deck needs one more land. I think we don't have a large enough sample size to say definitively if we do or not. But maybe. Was it not possible to path Clothis? No, we had no more access to white mana. Do I want one Staticaster before the second remand? Kind of. And kind of not. I think I'm going to say no. The deck has been performing well. I think it'd also be like a little disingenuous to say that it hasn't. Like, you are going to stumble on lands no matter how many lands you play. And also, it's like, I'm kind of counting Wildfires as like half of a ramp spell, too. So it kind of feels like we're playing 25 lands. Does this deck fetch out Flagstones naturally? No, but it's like, Wildfire is still good even if you don't draw Flagstones. Just target your opponent's stuff. Which is why I'm just kind of counting it as half a ramp spell. I'm going to main phase Gust, because I have Teferi. I'm really happy if they redraw Sprawl, or redraw Elf, but if they had Sprawl, because Sprawl is free to play effectively after turn 1, I would have drawn step, Gusted. They did put the Arbor Elf on the bottom. And we have 4 Flagstones in the deck. Yeah. Yeah, again, I think that's exactly how I would phrase it. Flagstones just has a high floor. And so does Wildfire. Like, the cards are just pretty fine on their own. So we can force a Blood Moon if we want to. Probably will. We have Bolt for Arbor Elf. They go Clothis plus Arbor Elf. I'm not sure what we're doing. Yeah, Spyro would be bad. So let's Wildfire their Forest. Oh, I was supposed to draw step Wildfire the Forest. Whoops. I was definitely supposed to draw step because the land enters tapped. Could have denied our opponent a mana. We'll see what happens, I guess. Just realized 1 second too late. Yeah, they couldn't have replayed this Blood Moon. Though we do have Snap Wildfire. I think I'm just going to do that. Do another draw step. I guess they always play a Plains or a Mountain, but So maybe I want to go after the forest. It probably doesn't matter very much either way, but this does, again, just tap down a land. Your shoddy masses, you only have flex stones and wildfire turn 2, 1 game out of every 5. Maybe that's true, although I also you don't need to have it every like on turn 2. Like it's fine to do it later. A lot of the time, I would imagine. This feels like a bit of a spew. I don't know. I kind of like just getting their planes. Maybe it was a spew. So I kind of like picking up Snapcaster and then Snap Gusting the Blood Moon. We have 2 Snapcasters. Interesting. If you hit a Flagstones with Moon on the field, you do not get the Flagstones trigger. Maybe getting the planes was better. But they missed their land drop last turn, so if they miss their land again and their hand is all 3s, it's like kind of like we time walk them, and we have, and like Teferi can bounce the Blood Moon next turn. Felt close at least. They should have at least 2 spells in their hand because they missed a land drop. Interesting. Yeah, we should just be able to snap bolt the Chandra after attacking it for 2. Pretty fine. Your wife tried to kill a fly, knocked over your laptop while working. Yikes. Sounds like something Esther would do too. That's an interesting draw. You know, getting Teferi in play does kind of invalidate Chandra. I guess they can still minus on my Snapcaster. So we could play and equip Sword of Feast and Famine, and then Snap Bolt Chandra, move the sword over to Snapcaster to block the Bone Crusher Giant. I think that that's good. It's going to be kind of painful. So, Snap. So we can play Sacred Foundry and cast the Snapcaster in combat, then cast Bolt. Then we can't Teferi and move the sword over. I think we're still doing this. Because we can still just Teferi. We could also Mystic Sanctuary Lightning Bolt. And then we can't Snapcaster in combat. We can Sanctuary Bolt, Teferi into Bounce, Snapcaster Mage, and then Bolt Snap Bolts. We have 7 mana. Should work. Seems good. So I didn't need to play this untapped. I kind of missed the line. So we spent 2 mana for no reason. Or 2 life for no reason. Which could be very relevant here. So there's Blood Moon Mystery card. What would you like to discard? Don't think the moon is too scary here. It's like a little scary. They discard Gargaroth. Pretty happy with that. I think we just bounce Snapcaster Mage, Bolt, Snap Bolt, Chandra, and just let Teferi die to Bone Crusher Giant. Could have also bolted the Bone Crusher. But I don't think the Bone Crusher matters all that much anymore. Definitely a good turn, although we played poorly because we didn't have to pay 2 to Sacred Foundry. I would have been more inclined to bolt the Bone Crusher Giant if I hadn't paid 2 to the Foundry. Yeah, but not too scared of Blood Moon here. Maybe I should be. They have Cinder Vines as their top deck. It's a yikes for me, dog. It's a good draw. So let's make them Cinder Vines, my sword. And then Snapcaster, target Force of Negation to force their Blood Moon, and then we can Stoneforge next turn. Would love if they main phase the Blood Moon. Perfect. What are my thoughts on a Mardu version? I think that Jeskai is just going to be superior mostly, because just like blue is usually better at using the extra mana than black. I'm probably getting Batterskull because I'm going to double block the Bone Crusher. But Sword of Fire and Ice I do think is a consideration. I guess we could still get Sword of Fire and Ice. If we think that a Sword of Fire and Ice Stoneforge is better than a Batterskull, then we should. I think I do think that just equipping the sword now is better. It's obviously bad if their last card is Bolt. But what are the chances of that? Alright, Colossus is beatable, but certainly good. Much more beatable in Cyborg games when you have just 4 Gust to buy a million turns against it. Okay, let's just attack before we cast Wildfire. Probably gonna Wildfire our Flagstones. I think a black-red list Dalton splashing white just doesn't sound too good when you have like 4 untapped white sources with Flagstones. So I think the reason to be black over blue would probably be if you really want to play Mardu, the reason to do it would be to play Smallpox. That would be the draw to it. Smallpox and Wildfire and Flagstones. But then you probably don't play Stoneforge Mystic in that deck. You should play like Liliana. It's going well, Shane. How are you doing? Going to game 3. The Ponza matchup has felt really close so far today. I would yeah, Nether Spirit as the only creature sounds awesome. I love Nether Spirit. I think that card is pretty underplayed. I can do a hat right now. Alright. Hope you have a Utopia Sprawl opponent. Small hat. I'm not sure where my small hat is. I can give it a look real quick. I think that the ability to fetch up a blue source is probably too important to not to play the Triumph on turn 1. Large hat is fine. I'll just do that. I'm not sure where my other one is at the moment. Cool. This also plays around a pillage. Pretty unlikely that they have Blood Moon in their hand if they're going to Utopia Sprawl Stomping Ground. Hopefully this is not a Rin and 6. Rin and 6 would be pretty good here. Cinder Vines is fine. So let me get Sacred Foundry and then get Basic Island with Flooded Strand. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I just gotta... Oh no, I need to get the island. Ah, damn it. Don't know why I played the Flagstones. So if they have Blood Moon, we're kind of in bad shape. But they need to draw a land to be able to cast it, and we have like lots of outs. 3 islands and 3 wildfires. I need to get a basic island there. Just a Scoos, thankfully. Now we can rectify our mistake and get that island. I think I'm just going to bounce the Ooze. Cindervines is definitely obnoxious, but not too bad for us. Yeah, Wildfire giving you game against Blood Moon I do think is a big deal. Although, if you're trying to really compare this deck to the blue-white version, your deck is just way less vulnerable to Blood Moon anyways. So So I think I'm going to get another basic island and then Snapcaster Wildfire on my flagstones and get basic plains and a triome. Stoneforge is a great draw, although I guess they have the Cindervines. Oh, the Triome's in my hand. We'll just get a Hallowed Fountain. Yeah, I'm also surprised that that my opponent prioritized killing Teferi instead of making an ooze again. However, I think that that's a pretty common mistake for people to overvalue Teferi Time Raveler. People will like really, I think, put a lot of value on it when it really can be something that can be ignored. So we can play Sword of Fire and Ice and equip. I think this is fine. I'm content if my opponent like spends when they're choked on mana. If they spend a turn Cindervining my my Fire and Ice, and then this also kills their ooze, which seems worth it to me. Could have maybe have hard cast Shark Typhoon, but I like that this just kills the ooze and like taxes their mana next turn and kills the vines. How's the deck been doing? It's been doing well. We went 4-1 into 0-2 drop, and now we're about to be 4-1 again. You'd kill the elf. Well, they're going to block with the ooze, so not an option with this line. I'd probably rather gust the Cindervines than the elf. It is 4-1 every league ever. I'm gonna bolt my Snapcaster. I can't imagine them playing a 3-drop because they just need to Cindervines my sword, right? Unless they value the Cindervines being in play really highly for some reason. Yeah, I guess they do. So let's go Stoneforge into sort of Feast and Famine plus equip and attack. Into Gust the Cindervines, into Remand the Cindervines if they replay it immediately. How do I recommend a casual playing MTGO? Entry fees seem kind of pricey, as well as renting decks seems expensive. I guess, I don't know. There are free-to-play queues, so just like find a deck you like and start playing in those. But maybe I'm just a little disconnected from the casual side of things. Not that I don't empathize. But there are free-to-play queues that you can just hop in. You know, maybe like just you can play if you can find friends to play with for free. You can definitely do that too. Yeah, if we remand this, they can't play Cindervines this turn. Oh no, they can, but they can't activate the Cindervines. Is this not a hard cast Shark Typhoon? I mean, not literally every single time you can do it. I think that this was this was a really good turn. We'll hard cast Shark Typhoon next turn probably. Do I need? Yes, you need to own the cards to play in the free queue. You know, I personally think the rental services are pretty worth it if you can devote the time to make your cash back in the leagues. But, you know, if the league play isn't your thing, then rental services probably aren't worth it. Love Hunt Master of the Fowls. Probably not worth it.